A very good evening to all. Am I audible? Can anybody please confirm?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay, thank you. So, again, good evening to all. We'll start with our class today. So, if anybody is new to the class, I am Sharmishta Majumdar from IIT Jodhpur, and I'm your PMRF TA for the course Maternal Infant Young Child Nutrition, which is being taken by Dr. Rupal Dalal from IIT Bombay. So, before moving on with today's class, I would like to urge you people. Like since we are almost at the culmination of this course, so I would urge you people to go through your previous lectures and the previous sessions and keep on recapitulating all the problems that we have solved. So it would really help you out with your remaining assignments and also for the final exam. Okay, so we'll move on with today's class. So today we'll be discussing the contents that have been shared with you for week 10. So you all must have already gone through the recordings that are there regarding the adolescence nutrition, pre-pregnancy and pregnancy nutrition, and also the lactation nutrition. Now, through all these weeks, we have been studying the importance of breast milk, the importance of the first 1,000 days, and how child nutrition or pre pregnancy nutrition, and then how the infant nutrition, all of it is so important. But now, suddenly, we move on to adolescence nutrition. So, why do we think that adolescence nutrition is also very important? Now, last session, if you remember, we were talking about the growth spurts. So even in children, we have seen that there are some specific stages of their growth when their nutritional requirement becomes very high, right? Their nutritional requirement becomes very high, their metabolic functions, they increase, and their all over functionalities also start increasing. Their growth and development, it takes it expedites. So a similar kind of a thing, a similar growth spurt, it occurs in the adolescence as well. So now we know that whenever we are considering the growth of a human, right, so we have a prenatal life where the child is inside the mother's womb, and then when the child is born, and then we have the postnatal, that is after the birth. So there we have the infants or the neonates, like within 1 years of age we have the infants or the neonates, then we have the toddlers, the early school going ones, and then we have the childhood. Yeah. Then during puberty, we have this translational phase, which is the adolescence, the important phase that we'll be talking about. And then ultimately, we have the adulthood, right? So, as I said, now why this adolescence is also very important. So, during adolescence, as we know, from 13 to 18 years, or many there are schools of thoughts who also put till 20 years of age into the adolescence period. So, during this also, as we know, there is the occurrence of puberty. So it is not only the physical growth, the mental growth, but now there is also another aspect which comes into the existence, which is the sexual maturation of the males and females separately. So because of all these metabolic functions and the different physiological functions, physiological processes that are going on in the body, so there is also an increased requirement of nutrition. And also it has been seen that children who did not get or who were deprived of a proper nutrition during their early years of growth, these kids, if they are given a proper kind of nutrition during their adolescence, they can also maintain that proper nutritional status. They can maintain their nutritional status. So we'll move on to our first question. Food choices made by adolescents while snacking tend to favor foods high in dash and relatively low in dash. So everybody please go through the question carefully, and you can just let me know your answers. So here we are talking about adolescents, and of course we know that whenever the kids are growing, their adolescence, now they have started. Yes, anybody is saying something?
Yeah, is the answer.
Okay. So yes, so whenever we are talking about, right, so now we are talking about adolescence. So adolescent children, they are now in their school, and 1/3 of their entire day they are in the school. So there is no proper control as to what they are eating, and there is a lot of freedom on their part to eat whatever they like, right? So if we go to this question, as we can see that the correct answer is A, as all of you have said. So whenever the adolescents have their freedom to choose their own food, now snacking becomes very easy, right? So it is more convenient to just grab on something and keep on eating that. So it is a habit adolescents have, it is a habit adults have, but of course it is a habit with a lot of disadvantages, right? So if we consider our question, so the first option is sugar, sodium and fat, right? So adolescents, they tend to have a lot of packaged food, a lot of refined foods. So these packaged, refined, processed food, they are high in sugar, they are high in salts. Yeah, they're high in salts, and also there are these packaged foods which come with a lot of trans fat. So we have talked about this specific kind of fat which is not beneficial for the body. We have talked about omega-3 fatty acids, which are good fats for the body, but the trans fats, they are not good fats for the body, right? So these tend to be there in those packaged foods that adolescents get a hang of eating or a hang of munching on it very frequently. And they are relatively low in vitamins and minerals. So we have been continuously discussing about the importance of vitamins and minerals, and we have established it very strongly why green leafy vegetables, fruits and a lot of roughage and all of these fruits and vegetables are so important in a daily diet, right? So as we just discussed, adolescent nutrition is very important so as to maintain the nutrition and also to initiate the specific kind of nutrition in children who were not able to or were deprived of their proper nutrition in their early years, right? So yes, the correct answer is A. And as we just discussed, the adolescents, they have a tendency to overconsume what? Energy dense. So what are these energy dense foods? So we have seen that the macronutrients, that is the carbohydrates, proteins, fats, they have a calorific ability, like they generate energy. But out of these, carbohydrates and fats are the ones which are more energy dense, right? So if somebody is not taking, or if somebody is over consuming carbohydrates, so carbs and bad fats, they are over consuming, and also they are nutritionally poor. So the nutritional status is not being taken care of. And as we said, there is more of sodium, there's more of salt, there is more of sweeteners, artificial sweeteners, processed sugar, and they take in a lot of these beverages, these sweetened beverages. Then we have discussed about the caffeinated beverages as well. So all of these, they tend to push them towards obesity and also towards a low nutritional status, right? So it is very important that the adolescent's nutrition is equally taken care of as the nutrition during the first phases of life. So we'll move on to our next question. Yeah, as I just discussed, what are the years or months of growth spurts during the childhood and adolescence? Right. So we have discussed about the growth spurts during childhood, like we have seen whenever during infancy. So from 2 weeks to 3 weeks, then 3 months, 6 months, right? This is a growth spurt phase. Then again during 7 to 8 years, there is a spurt, there is a growth spurt. And then again during puberty, there is a growth spurt. So there are specific phases during the child's life cycle when these growth spurts happen, and these growth spurts are basically those phases when they require more energy, their nutritional requirement also increases because their physiological functions and demands of their body is also increasing, right? So to combat that, or to to meet that demand of their increased nutritional requirements, So that proper nutrition, the proper food in their diet, a balanced diet is very important so that they have an optimal growth during their formative years and also during their adolescence. Yeah. So we'll move on to the next question. Deficiencies of which of the following nutrients can lead to anemia? So we have the options iodine and vitamin C, copper and iron, zinc and protein, vitamin D and zinc.
Option B.
Okay. Anybody else?
Option B.
Yeah. So somebody has said option A. So please go through the question. It is a very simple question. There's nothing to get, confused. So the question talks about anemia, and we all know the specific thing related to anemia is obviously hemoglobin, right? So whenever what is anemia basically? It is less of hemoglobin in blood. And hemoglobin contains iron in the form of heme. So of course, whenever we talk about anemia, the major cause or one of the commonest cause of anemia is iron deficiency, right? So iron deficiency anemia. Now, if we look at the options, we have iodine and vitamin C. So we know that iodine and vitamin C, they do not have any direct linkage with, formation of blood or carrying of iron. So whenever, if it's anemia, so it can either be lesser formation, say blood is not getting formed. So these are the blood formation factors which are not there. Or it might happen that the factors that we require for formation of blood, those are not being transported. So there are a lot of factors or cofactors in the blood, in the circulatory system, which are doing all these functions. But iodine and vitamin C, they are not related to any of these functions. Now let us come to zinc and protein. So zinc and protein also no, vitamin D and zinc also, they do not have direct linkages to these functions. So we have copper and iron. So can apart from iron deficiency, can anybody tell me what are the other most common examples of anemia? Say one is iron deficiency anemia, and what are other very common deficiencies which will lead to anemia?
Vitamin B12, folic acid.
Right. So apart from iron deficiency anemia, so vitamin B12, folate, these are very important micronutrients which deficiencies of which lead to anemia. Now, why are we talking about copper here? So yes, copper and iron, the option B is the correct answer. Yeah. So as Dr. Patel has mentioned, we have folate, which is vitamin B9, we have vitamin B12 or cobalamin, and also riboflavin, which is vitamin B2. So all these types of vitamin B deficiencies can also effectively lead to anemia. Now, what does copper do? Just as I mentioned, that either it is the formative deficiencies, like deficiencies of the formative factors, or deficiencies of the absorption, like the factors which are not letting iron being absorbed. So here copper is a very important cofactor which is required for iron transfer. So what does copper do? So copper is responsible for transferring that iron, and whatever iron is being taken through food, so copper helps, or copper contributes to that absorption and the distribution of that iron in the body. So in case copper is not there, so obviously if iron is not coming through diet, so then directly iron deficiency leads to anemia. But if copper deficiency is there in the body, and there is proper amount of iron, but since copper is not there, so that iron is not being effectively absorbed. And if it is not being absorbed, it will not be distributed in the body also. So hence that also leads to the decrease in the amount of availability of iron, and that leads to anemia. Yes, somebody has raised his hand. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, vitamin C also helps us, no, the absorption of the iron?
Vitamin C, it helps in the absorption of iron, but it is given with iodine in the option. So iodine doesn't have a direct effect on iron. Am I clear on this?
Check. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So iodine and vitamin C. If it was say vitamin C and copper, I would have understood. But there is a combination of options. So hence B is the answer here. I hope the doubt has been cleared, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So the answer to this question is copper and iron. So we'll move on to our next question. Vitamin D deficiency can often be found as a single nutrient deficiency, that is, in an otherwise well-nourished person. So a person doesn't have any other kinds of deficiencies, and he or she is having a proper balanced diet. Excuse me. But still, it is being shown that the person is having symptoms of isolated vitamin D deficiency. So what do you think would be the main reason for this?
Point C.
Okay. What about others? You can jot down your answers in the chat box as well.
Vitamin C. Point C. Option C.
Okay. Okay. Correct. So as most of you have said, it is option C. Now, when we are talking about vitamin D, we know that vitamin D is majorly synthesized with the help of sunlight, right? So we have this ergosterol, which is being converted to vitamin D, and it is mediated through the UVB rays, right? So now whenever we are talking about vitamin D, they are present in very less quantities, or rather the body gets very less quantities through food. And also it is either through very few non-vegetarian sources from which the vitamin D is being obtained. So here the correct answer is most vitamin D in the body, it does not come from food. So access to food is not an important determinant of vitamin D status. So please remember, vitamin D is a very common nutritional deficiency that occurs in it occurs in both males and females, but of course males are more females are more predisposed towards the vitamin D deficiency. So it is very important that they get a proper exposure to sunlight. It is not only the food, but you will see there are a lot of women who have vitamin D deficiency, and it is not only women who are above 40 years of age, but even women of my age, women younger than me, many girls, like young girls, they are also suffering from vitamin D deficiency. So that might be due to their it might be due to their sedentary lifestyle inside homes, not going outside, not getting proper sunlight exposure. So it is very important to aware all people that yes, vitamin D, the synthesis is very important through exposure to sunlight. So it is not only, there are a lot of people who just take in vitamin D supplements, but of course it is also to be known that vitamin D is a fat soluble vitamin. It is not a water soluble vitamin. So you can't keep on having vitamin D supplements as in how you wish, right? So this exposure to sunlight is important so that the vitamin D can be properly synthesized in the body, as it is very much essential for the other metabolic functions and other functions related to the development of tooth, development of bones in the body as well. So yes, the answer to this question is option C. So as a follow-up question, what time is the best to absorb vitamin D?
Point C, bullet number C.
Okay.
Option C.
Option C.
Okay, correct. So as we have seen that it is during the afternoon, or it is during the noon time, that the intensity of the UVB rays are the highest, and because of this the exposure, yeah, and because of this the person doesn't have to stay for a long time outside, because of course there are a lot of people who might be yeah. So there are a lot of people who might be affected by the harsh sun rays, and hence it is very important that during the afternoon when the rays are intense, so UVB rays are intense, and hence it is only for a period of 15 to 20 minutes also. If you get a proper exposure, then it could be said that you are actually getting a proper, the optimal sunlight for formation of vitamin D in your body. So yes, as we have already discussed before, vitamin D is present in a lot of forms, different forms. So vitamin D, it also helps in the absorption of calcium, and also it helps in the metabolism of calcium and phosphorus, so that proper growth and development related to the bone and teeth can be mediated. So yes, the answer to this question is 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Okay. So we'll move on to the next question. What is the daily calorie requirement of an adolescent female?
2000 to 2400. Point A.
Okay. So,
Option A.
right. So as we have discussed that whenever we are talking about adolescent, adolescent people, so they have an increased dietary requirement. Now what happens, these adolescents from 13 years of age to 18 years of age, now if we look at the spectrum, so they are into a lot of activity. They are now in school, they are doing a lot of activities, they are using their physical strength, their mental strength to the full, right? So because of this, their nutritional requirement or the nutritional demand also increases, and hence they need a lot of energy. So what are these energy rich foods? So these energy rich food are the macronutrients which need to be given. So the carbohydrates and the fats, they are giving them energy. So whenever carbohydrate and fat, they are being taken in optimal amounts, so they are providing that specific kind of energies to the adolescent. And we know that protein is a bodybuilding food. So the protein is giving them that muscle mass, which is helping them, which is helping in the proper growth and development of their body, right? So yes, if we consider an adolescent female, so the calorie requirement, the daily calorie requirement would be 2000 to 2400 calories. And if we consider the adolescent males, so of course by the law of nature it would be a bit higher. So it is around 2500 to 3000 calories. Now these energy or the calories which are needed by the adolescents, they depend on some factors. So as I just discussed, the activity levels. So these will also depend on the activity levels of each individual, not just gender dependent, but also the individual, like as in whether the child has a sedentary lifestyle or the child is a sports person, or what are the regular activity profile of those children. So that is also very important. Second is the basal metabolic rate. So basal metabolic rate is the energy which the energy expenditure when your body is at a state of rest. So the energy which is needed, or the number of calories, this is also dependent on the basal metabolic rate of the individual, and also the pubertal growth and development. Now, as we said that puberty is a very important time phase which happens in and around the adolescence, right? So that is how the puberty happens, and then the adolescence, there is a continuous transition in their growth and development. And as we have discussed, it is not only the physical change, but it is the way they perceive things, their mental development also happens, the secondary sexual characteristics also, I mean the sexual maturation also happens. So because of this, the entire body needs a higher demand of nutrition, and that is given through these energy or the calories. So please remember, for an adolescent female it is 2000 to 2400 calories, and for an adolescent male it is 2500 to 3000 calories, right? Okay, and of course, as we can see, the spectrum of their food should consist of fruits, vegetables, pulses, grains, and good fats, as we have discussed, good fats like omega-3 fatty acids, and pulses, eggs, nuts and seeds, and also different kinds of non-vegetarian options, fishes, which are good sources of omega-3 fatty acids, and also chicken, which are rich in protein, and also the dairy products, also the dairy products, milk and the milk products. So all of these they have to be present in the diet of these adolescent individuals. So we'll move on to our next question. Why should grains and pulses be consumed in a combination?
Ma'am, option C.
Okay,
Option C.
right. So as you have said, option C is it provides adequate amounts of essential amino acids and it meets human protein needs. So can anybody please explain why does it say it provides the adequate amounts of essential amino acids? What are these essential amino acids?
There are about
Yes, somebody just go ahead.
There are 9 essential amino acids. So cereals are lacking in lysine and legumes are in methionine. We call them as a limiting amino acids. And if you combine both, it compensates that limiting amino acid. So essential amino, if you combine the food, so that it helps for the all essential, and that essential amino acids are total are 22, out of that 9 are essential amino acids.
Okay. Anybody wants to add anything?
Essential amino acids are those amino acids that are not prepared in our body, that we have to
Correct,
take
correct.
from outside.
Right.
From the
Correct.
food we have to take.
Yes. So these essential amino acids, why the name says it all. Like these essential amino acids, they are very essential for our body, but it is not synthesized in our body. So that has to be substituted through our diet. Now what happens? We have 9 essential amino acids that has been very rightly pointed out. But these 9 essential amino acids, they are not present in the plant-based proteins, right? So the plant sources, they are devoid of all these 9 essential amino acids. So hence they are also called the incomplete protein. But these are present in the non-vegetarian sources. And hence whenever we are considering the non-vegetarian sources, we call it the complete protein, as they are giving us the range of all the essential amino acids that are present. So yes, the answer is option C. And also it has been mentioned that cereals and grains, they are deficient in lysine, and also pulses and legumes, they are deficient in methionine, very correctly said. So there is also another amino acid, tryptophan, which is present in lesser amounts in cereals and grains. And also in cases of pulses and legumes, apart from methionine, there is another sulfur-rich amino acid which is present in lesser amounts. So it is not an essential amino acid, but still in pulses and legumes, apart from methionine, it is cysteine, which is present in lesser amounts. So please remember these amino acids which are which are deficient in these kinds of food. So essential amino acids, yes, lysine is not there in cereals and grains, and methionine is also absent in case of pulses and legumes, right? So we'll move on to our next question. To help prevent neural tube defects, grain products are now fortified with. What would be the answer?
Folate.
Okay,
C. Folate.
right,
Option B. Right.
correct.
Folate.
Yes. So can anybody tell me what is fortification?
It is the process of adding essential. It is about the process of adding essential nutrient in the product, so that deficiency can be met out.
Right. So whenever we
And
are having,
that essential nutrient is not present in that food,
right,
like adding iodine to the sodium salt.
salt, correct. So fortification is basically a process when we are incorporating these nutritional elements or the nutritional components in a specific kind of food where it is not present, right? So here we are talking about neural tube defects, and the question says grain products are now fortified with. So naturally the grain products, they do not have folate, but it has been seen that when these products fortified with folate are given to mothers, so the neural tube defects have been found to reduce. So now can anybody please recapitulate for me what are neural tube defects? Anybody, anything?
Neural tube defects examples? What are you asking? Neural tube defect?
Yeah, what are neural tube defects?
There is during the intrauterine life, it is the closure of the neural tube doesn't happen
Okay,
because of deficiency.
Can I just interrupt you here? Please don't mind, but I want some other student to answer this time. Can anybody please volunteer? Please don't mind, Dr. Patel.
No issue, no issue.
Yeah, somebody else please volunteer. I want to hear a new voice today. What do you think is a neural tube defect? We have talked about this. Let us just recapitulate.
Neural tube form in first 28 days of pregnancy.
Yeah. So neural tube, it is basically, if we consider the growth and development of a child, so neural tube, so the anterior part of a neural tube, it gives it grows into the brain of the child, and the posterior part, it grows into the spinal cord of the child, right? So whenever this growth is happening, or whenever the neural tube is developing into the child, so if there is deficiency of 3 specific nutrients, then it has been seen that there is more occurrence of neural tube defects. So what are these 3 specific nutrients?
Folate, C9, and choline.
Choline, folate, and vitamin B12.
Right. So folate, choline, and vitamin B12, right? So these 3, when the diet of the mother is deficient in these 3 nutrients, folate, vitamin B12, and choline, so there has been seen there is more chances of these neural tube defects. Now somebody please tell me, what are the examples of these neural tube defects? Like, what do we say that this is a neural tube defect? Yeah, please go ahead.
Meningocele, meningomyelocele.
Right. So whenever we are talking about these neural tube defects, so it has been seen, say we are talking about 2 parts, right? The brain and the spinal cord. So it might happen that because of the deficiency of these nutrients, the brain development is not occurring properly, or the spinal cord development is not occurring properly. So I'll just show you the images. So these are these images are from a paper, and this is a case in a hospital in Maharashtra. So you could just, if anybody is interested, you could just go through the paper But as you can see in the images, so these are the deformities which have happened in the brain area, right? So as you can see this, the contents have gone out and made into a pouch. So here also, as you can see near the posterior part, this is the neural tube when it is developing, and the posterior part, it develops into the spinal cord. The anterior or the front part, it develops into the brain. But you can see that the contents have outpouched, or they have grown into an outer pouch outside the body, right? So these are examples of the spina bifida, like the deformity which happens where the lower part of the spinal cord or the lower part of the neural tube, the defect is seen. It is called spina bifida. And when the brain area or the front part is involved, it is anencephaly. So please remember these neural tube defects and why it happens, and folate, vitamin B12 and choline. These three are very important, and hence mothers shouldn't be deficient in all these nutrients. Also, as we just discussed, yes, fortification is done with these essential nutrients, so that the food which naturally they are not occurring with these kinds of nutrients, even if the mothers are able to eat those food, then also they might just save themselves from these kinds of deficiencies. So please remember folate, vitamin B12 and choline. And we have discussed this in our very initial, I think, lecture 3 or lecture 4. So you can go through the neural tube defects, the slides, and it is explained there what are the specific features that are seen during the in the neural tube defects. So you can just go through it as well. So we'll move on to our next question. Which of the following is not a function of protein? Which of the following is not a function of protein? Anybody with the answer?
Option C.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Yes, please go ahead. Yeah. So option C.
Option C.
Right. So let us go through the options. So number 1, aids in digestion. Yes. So we know about proteins, peptides which are aiding in digestion, right? So of course proteins, they help in the process of digestion. Number 2, break down toxins in the body. Yes. So protein, it also, when the protein, it breaks down and the protein releases some chemicals. So these chemicals are also responsible for the breaking down of toxins in the body, right? Okay. So increase in blood sugar. Of course, this is a wrong option, where the protein, it helps to maintain the blood sugar, right? So of course, it doesn't increase the blood sugar. And number 4, enhances conduction of signals between brain and tissues. This is also a very significant contribution of proteins in the body, where it helps the conduction of impulses or the conduction of signals between the brain and the other tissues of the body. So the correct answer is C, that is increase blood sugar. So what happens whenever say why it is advocated that the protein or it shouldn't be only one kind of food that is taken in excess. So it is usually advocated that a combination of protein with carbohydrate and fats in proper ratios in a balanced diet is taken, or protein and fat is taken together, or protein and carbohydrates are taken together. So what happens, these proteins are the building blocks, and the proteins and fats, they need more time to digest. So because of the complexities of the structures, they take more time to digest. So when they are eaten with carbohydrates in proper amounts, so this protein, it slows down the absorption of carbohydrates as well. So now when this absorption of carbohydrate and the entire digestion process, metabolism process of carbohydrate is reduced, so obviously there will be no rapid glucose or blood sugar spikes. So if there are no blood sugar spikes, so obviously the blood sugar level will be maintained. So this is also very important for people who have diabetes. Obviously they shouldn't be eating carbohydrate foods that much, and also even when they are having carbohydrate food, it should be in a combination with protein or in a combination with good fats, so that the proper level of the sugar, of the blood sugar, can be maintained, right? Okay. So yes, the answer to this question is increase blood sugar. And of course, all these are the important functions of a protein. So we'll move on to our next question. Which of the following helps to increase chances of pregnancy and also contributes to reduce the risk of low birth weights?
And option B, omega-3 fatty acid.
Okay.
Omega-3, option
Yes.
B.
So,
Omega-3.
correct. So from many sessions we have been talking about the importance of omega-3 fatty acids and why it is so important for babies and why it is also so important for pregnant ladies, and why omega-3 fatty acid is a good fat, right? So whenever we are talking about fats, so we have a notion that fats, if we are talking about fats, then fat shouldn't be taken, right? But here also people should be aware of the different kinds of fats available, whether they are saturated fatty acids, whether they're unsaturated fatty acids. We have talked about the categorization. Please, you can revise the previous sessions. So we have the saturated, unsaturated fatty acids. And in the saturated fatty acids, we have the omega-3 fatty acids. So these omega-3 fatty acids, they are very important and they are known as the good fats. Say the omega-3 fatty acids like alpha linolenic acid and EPA, DHA that we have talked about. So these are important for the growth and development in a baby. Now these omega-3 fatty acids, they are also very important in mothers or in females who are trying for conception. So these omega-3 fatty acids, they boost the nutrition and they also have this ability to increase the chances of pregnancy. And also these good fats, they reduce the chances of low birth weight babies, right? So we know that omega-3 fatty acids, they have a direct effect on the cardiac health. So it is good for the heart, number one. Number two, it reduces inflammation in the body. Number three, it is extremely useful for the brain and visual development. And number four, it plays a very important role in developing intelligence. So that is why we keep on telling that omega-3 fatty acids like EPA and DHA, they are very much important for children. And we have also studied in the previous sessions where we say that these omega-3 fatty acids are present in the breast milk. And that is how the child is initially getting the source of omega-3 fatty acid during the breastfeeding phase also. And that is helping the child, that is helping the visual and the brain development in the child as well. Does
it also help in premature birth of the baby?
Yes, it also helps in the premature birth of the baby. So it reduces that incidence. Yeah. So it reduces the incidence of premature premature child as well. So yes, the answer to this question is omega-3 fatty acids. So we'll move on to our next question. A woman who wants to get pregnant is experiencing fatigue and lack of energy, breathlessness, increase in heart rate and pale skin. She also falls frequently sick. Which nutrient she might be deficient in?
Iron.
And option D. Iron.
Right.
Option D, iron.
Correct. So iron is one such nutrient which is so significant during all the phases of maternal nutrition, child nutrition. Like, it is important through all the phases of the growth and development, right? So here what happens whenever somebody is having iron deficiency, so one thing, the first symptoms or the first manifestations that are there is, number one, fatigue. There is too much of tiredness in that individual and there is lack of energy. Then there might be a sense of breathlessness. And also in some of the individuals there is increased heart rate and there is pale skin also. And also, since we know that iron, it has a very important role in maintaining the immunity of the body. So during iron deficiency, the immunity falls and then the individual is more predisposed to getting different kinds of diseases, right? Yes, somebody has raised a hand. Please go ahead.
Madam, why the option A is not correct?
Option A, calcium. Are you talking about calcium?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So calcium, it doesn't directly lead to increase in heart rate and pale skin. I mean, increase in heart rate might be there, but the others which are experiencing fatigue and then pale skin and then immunity related manifestations, these are very characteristic of iron deficiency. So it is not seen in calcium deficiency.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. So here we are talking about a lady who wants to get pregnant. So obviously, if a lady who wants to conceive is deficient of iron, then this will definitely increase the chances of a premature delivery or a low birth weight delivery in the future. So it is very important that the lady gets her specific requirement of iron through either dietary sources or through supplementation. So as we know, pregnant ladies are also given the iron and the folate tablets. So the iron is so important that the deficiency needs to be corrected, because iron deficiency can lead to all these problems that are very lethal for both the mother and the child. So either through dietary supplementation or through the supplements, the external supplements. Anyhow, the iron deficiency needs to be corrected. Yes, so iron is the correct answer to this question. We'll move on to our next question. Which of the following contribute to bone and teeth development?
A.
Option D, all the above.
Calcium and phosphorus.
Right.
Yes, all the above.
Please go through the question, all of you. So the options are calcium, phosphorus, vitamin D, and all of the above. So as we all know that calcium and phosphorus, they are very important for the maintenance or for the growth of bone and teeth. And vitamin D is one such micronutrient which is helping in the absorption of these calcium and phosphorus. So all three of them, they cumulatively act for the growth, they cumulatively act for the development of teeth and bone. So as we can see that vitamin D, it mobilizes calcium and phosphorus from the bone, right? So let us start the vitamin D regulation of calcium and phosphorus. So here, as we have discussed, vitamin D, so it is through the synthesis in the skin, and then the intake is either through diet or supplements. So diet, it is very less amounts, and people who have very less amounts of vitamin D in their body, so they take supplements for a limited amount of time. Now this vitamin D, it has these specific ways as to how it metabolizes the calcium and the phosphorus. So it helps in the mobilization of the calcium and phosphorus from the bone. Again, vitamin D, it increases the absorption of calcium and phosphorus from the intestine. So whatever calcium and phosphorus has been there in the intestine, assimilated in the intestine, now the vitamin D, it increases its absorption. So this calcium and phosphorus, it is available in the body for further utilization. And also this vitamin D in the form of in one of its forms, it also facilitates the absorption from the renal tubule. So it is not only from the intestine, but it is also from the kidney, through which vitamin D is helping in the reabsorption of calcium and phosphorus. So it is calcium, phosphorus and vitamin D which are all together working for the proper bone and teeth development in the children and also in adults, right? So the answer is all of the above. So let us move on to the next question. If weight was not effectively managed by an obese female before pregnancy, what could be the consequence?
Option D, all of the above.
Okay. Anybody else?
All the above.
All the above.
Right.
Option D.
Right. So as we know that before pregnancy or before conceiving, the maintenance of the weight is very important. So this needs to be, propagated, or this needs to be told to mothers or ladies who want to be, who want to conceive, that it is very important that a proper weight is maintained before pregnancy. Yes. So before pregnancy, so based on their BMIs or body mass indexes, so it can be either, if obviously their BMIs they lie in the normal range, it is helpful for them. But if females who are underweight or if females who are overweight, so for both the ends of the spectrum, it is important that they take care of their nutrition, and hence they also maintain their weight. So in case of underweight females, what happens, it is very important that they take a proper nutrition so that the fetus when growing, so that nutrition is also translated to that fetus. But the underweight mother will obviously have chances of giving birth to a low birth weight child or even a stillbirth. So hence the maintenance of her weight and her nutrition is very important. Now coming to obese females, so what happens, obese females, they already have these predisposition regarding increased blood pressure or occurrence of diabetes mellitus. So this can happen that obese women, they develop gestational diabetes, that is diabetes during the pregnancy period. So it might happen that their blood sugar, it rises up, they can have gestational diabetes, and of course neonatal complications like stillbirth, low birth weight, premature delivery can also be there. So it is very important that they have a clearer idea of their weight as to what is which is a safer range for their weight and what is the normal BMI of their structure, so that they can properly go forward with the entire pregnancy process. So yes, all of the above is the answer. Next question. This nutrient deficiency, it leads to the occurrence of fatty liver in adults. What complications can happen in fetus? What do you think would be the answer? So the question asks about a nutrient deficiency which causes fatty liver in adults. Now this nutrient, what are the complications of the nutrient deficiency in fetus?
None of the above. None of the above.
Okay. Anybody
Minor
else?
bifida. C, ma'am. A.
Okay. Okay.
Choline deficiency. Choline is required for the neural tube defect, as well as occurrence of fatty liver. Deficiency causes fatty liver.
Right.
Option D, none of the above.
Okay. So since we have got different answers, let us just discuss this. So as very rightly pointed out, choline, it causes the fatty liver in adults, right? So now what if this choline is deficient in fetus? So we just have discussed that choline deficiency, it causes neural tube defects in fetus. And option A, spina bifida, it is the defect of the spinal cord, which is an example of a neural tube defect. So definitely our option A is correct. But we also have something in option B, which is miscarriage. So this choline deficiency can also lead to the miscarriage, leading to the termination of the pregnancy. So hence the answer to this question is option C, that is both of the above. So choline deficiency can lead to the miscarriage of fetuses and also the occurrence of neural tube defects. And in adults, it causes fatty liver. And as we can see, in adults, apart from fatty liver, it can have several other manifestations, like it is characterized by fatigue or low energy, memory loss, cognitive decline, learning difficulties, nerve damage, mood changes or disorders, muscle aches and pains, and also hepatic, poor bile flow and gallstones, that is gallbladder and hepatic manifestations. So it is very important that the choline deficiency, it also shows the neurological manifestations apart from fatty liver in adults as well, right? So the answer to this question is both neural tube defect, which is spina bifida in this case, and miscarriage. So option C, both of the above, is the correct answer. So we'll move on to the next question. Anybody has any doubt in this? Nobody?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So we'll move on to the next question. Which of the following is not caused by iodine deficiency? So iodine is a very important nutrient. Hence, which of the following is not
High birth weight baby.
Option A, high birth weight baby.
And option A. Option A.
right? So what we are talking about is the iodine deficiency, and we know that iodine deficiency, it causes low birth weight. It leads to the formation of low birth weight babies, right? So obviously option A stands eliminated from the the causes, the effect of iodine deficiency. But since the question asks which is not caused by iodine deficiency, so high birth weight baby, or option A, is the answer. Now iodine deficiency, what happens in case of iodine deficiency? Like, as we already know that iodine is a very important nutrient which is required for the maintenance or the regulation of the thyroid hormones. But in case of pregnant ladies, apart from the thyroid hormones, there are very important, the important factors which are related to the iodine deficiency. So number one, low birth weight babies. So iodine deficiency can definitely lead to low birth weight babies. Number two, it can cause birth deformities. So there can be a lot of congenital abnormalities which happens due to deficiency of iodine. Number three, miscarriage or stillbirth. There can be a miscarriage or there can be a stillbirth due to iodine deficiency. And also iodine causes a mental retardation or a growth retardation. So this iodine, as we know, you must have gone through various sources in televisions or in newspapers which keep on advertising that you need to feed iodized salt to children, right? So the most important thing is their thyroid development, and also more than that, it is their mental development, because this iodine deficiency, it directly impacts their growth, their cognitive growth, their mental growth. So their iodine deficiency will hamper their mental growth. So hence mental retardation and growth retardation can also be seen in iodine deficiency. So the pregnant ladies, they are advocated to have more of iodine in the form of iodized salts to prevent all these kinds of complications. So the low birth weight babies, the miscarriage or the stillbirth, and the congenital abnormalities in the babies, right? So the correct answer is A, high birth weight baby. We'll move on to the next question. Iron deficiency anemia is not caused by which of the following? Iron deficiency anemia is not caused by which of the following? Anybody with the answer?
A, reduced dietary intake of iron.
Okay. Let us go through the question again. Iron deficiency anemia
Option D.
is not caused by which of the following? Okay, so let us start reading the options. So number one is reduced dietary intake of iron. So if there is reduced dietary intake, then obviously there is deficiency of anemia. Then deficiency of iron. Then definitely iron deficiency anemia will be caused. Number one. Number two, worm infestation. So as we know that whenever there is worm infestation, this is very common in the rural areas, and this is very common in people who are working on the fields, or like the hookworm and the roundworm infestation. So this leads to the iron deficiency anemia. So these are parasites. So when these parasites they infest, so there is loss of blood, and because of this there is also there is also the occurrence of iron deficiency anemia. Number three, poor absorption due to phytic acids and oxalates in the diet. So as we have studied that due to the phytic acid and the oxalates in the diet, the iron which is also in the diet, it is not properly absorbed. So if the iron is not being properly assimilated or absorbed in the body, then of course there will also be iron deficiency anemia. So all the three options that are being there given, they cause iron deficiency anemia. So the correct answer is option D, that is none of the above. So among all these questions, there is nothing which does not cause iron deficiency anemia. So as we have just discussed, all three of these, they are very common causes which lead to iron deficiency anemia. Now, just a couple of questions back, as we have discussed that iron is very important for the growth and development of the child, and also the proper nutritional health of the mother. So hence the iron supplementation is very important. Number two, the treatment of the worm infestation needs to be done. So we have also gone through these deworming tablets, right? So in the previous sessions we have gone through these IFA tablets or iron folic acid tablets, and along with that the deworming tablets are given to pregnant ladies, so that in case they have some worm infestation, that is being treated, so that they do not have iron deficiency because of these causes. And also there has to be a proper improvement in the dietary habits, so that the pregnant lady or the lady exactly knows what to eat, when to eat and how to eat, and what are the combinations she should eat and what are the combinations she should avoid, right? So does anybody remember what is the food that should not be taken with iron?
Calcium rich food.
Right. And what is the nutrient which increases the absorption of iron?
And vitamin C.
Right. So all these vitamin C rich foods, they are advocated to be taken with iron. They are advocated to be taken with iron rich foods, so that their absorption is properly done. And calcium, since it inhibits, or since it retards the absorption of iron, so it is advocated that calcium should never be taken with iron food together, right? So the answer for this question is none of the above. So our next question is, which of the following plays a significant role in DNA and protein synthesis? So which of these plays a significant role in DNA and protein synthesis, do you think?
D. D. Vitamin E.
Okay. Anybody else?
Zinc.
Okay.
Zinc.
Okay. So yes, the correct answer is zinc. So zinc is one of the micronutrients. So these nutrients are required in very less quantities by the body, but still their effect is very huge. The roles that they play and the contribution in the body is very huge. So zinc is one such micronutrient, is one such mineral which helps in the formation of DNA, which helps in the formation of genetic material and also in protein synthesis. So if we go through the different roles of zinc, it enhances the immunity. It also helps in cell growth. As we have discussed, it helps in the formation of genetic material and protein. Zinc, it also helps in wound healing. And in females, zinc helps in the ovulation and fertility maintenance. And also in pregnant ladies, zinc helps in the growth of embryo. So please go through these roles of the, these contributions or the importance of these micronutrients. So apart from the macronutrients, that is the carbohydrates, proteins and fats, all these vitamins and minerals, they are very much important for the maintenance of the proper nutrition. So in the different lectures, the different the nutrients have been mentioned. So please go through their functions and please just go through why they are important at specific phases of the development, be it in pre-pregnancy or pregnancy, or be it even during lactation. So this is in females, and also in children, why these are important, as to what are the different kinds of processes that they help in. And if we come back to zinc, so zinc is very much essential during adolescence. So adolescent nutrition or adolescent food should definitely have the sources of zinc, rich sources of zinc. So these are fishes, these are eggs, and these zinc, it helps in the physical growth. So as we just discussed, during adolescence, there is an increase in the different metabolic functions and the different physiological processes that are going on. So there is physical growth, there is cognitive development, and there is also sexual maturation. So all these functions, zinc plays a very important role in maintaining all these functions. So yes, zinc plays a significant role in DNA and protein synthesis. So as a follow-up question, what do you think zinc deficiency will cause?
It's a loss of sense of smell and taste.
Okay.
T.
Okay. So we have gone through that COVID era when a lot of people, they were telling, okay, you take zinc along with vitamin C. And so now we have scientific basis as to why we know that zinc deficiency, it actually causes a loss of sense of taste and smell. But apart from that, zinc also is responsible for the delayed growth of placenta, right? So not only the loss of taste and smell, zinc is also responsible for a delayed growth of placenta, zinc deficiency. So if zinc, as we have just discussed in our previous slide, so if you can see, that zinc, it helps in the, it affects the growth of the embryo, right? So in zinc deficiency, there is a delayed growth of placenta, because of which there might be effects on the embryo and the later effects as to the delivery of the child or the parturition of the child. So the answer to this question is both of the above. So please go through the different functions that zinc has and what would be the cause, what would be the effects of the zinc deficiency? So number one, it definitely leads to the loss of sense of smell and taste. And number two, it causes, zinc deficiency causes a delayed growth of placenta, right? So the answer is both of the above. Next question, migraine and cramps can be treated by supplementation of?
Magnesium.
Magnesium.
Option B, magnesium.
Right. So in our very initial sessions, we have gone through this, that magnesium is one such micronutrient which is responsible for, for treating migraine. So, and apart from migraine, it is also helpful in cases of cramps. So as we have discussed, it is not just the supplementation of micronutrients, but it is to be combined with proper rehydration. So there are a lot of females who are dehydrated, not only just females, but individuals who are dehydrated, and then they get these muscle cramps. So the supplementation should not only be based on the micronutrient, but along with that, it should be a proper water intake should also be taken. So the specific kinds of different micronutrients that needs to be substituted in their diet, along with an optimal level of water intake, right? So yes, migraine and cramps can be treated by supplementation of magnesium. And of course, nuts and seeds, they are very rich source of magnesium. So you can refer to the previous sessions where we have talked about migraine and how magnesium, it affects magnesium, it helps in the different kinds of headaches, not only migraine, but in the different kinds of headaches. And also in cases of pregnant ladies who are getting cramps, so muscular cramps they are getting, in case of these pregnant ladies also, a proper supplementation of these micronutrients along with proper water intake will help them to cure these or treat these muscle cramps. So the answer is magnesium. Next question, which of these are galactagogues? What would be the answer?
C.
Both of above.
Option C.
Okay. So can anybody tell me what are galactagogues?
They increase the production of milk, breast milk.
Right. So as the terminology says, galactagogues. So galacto is something related to milk, and gogues means something which is synergizing the effect, right? So it is helping that effect. So galactagogues are some materials which are which are boosting the formation of milk, or which are enhancing, or they are the milk inducers. So yes, as we know that be it moringa powder, moringa or drumstick, like the leaves of the drumstick plant, so that moringa leaves powder, and also fenugreek seeds, that is the methi seeds. So these are rich source of galactagogues, right? So galactagogues, they are the substances which can promote lactation, and they are also called as lactation inducer or milk booster. So these kinds of food need to be supplemented or need to be given to the mothers as a part of their lactation nutrition, so that whenever the mother is breastfeeding the child, so of course there is more of emptying, there will be more of the let down reflex, right? So we have discussed, can anybody tell me which is the hormone which is related to the let down reflex?
Oxytocin.
Right. So whenever there is more of the suckling reflex, there is more of emptying of the milk from the breast. So the oxytocin gives down the let down reflex, and that signal goes to the brain, and the more of milk production is initiated. So along with this entire physiological process which goes on in the body of the mother, apart from that, these are the substances of the galactagogues which are given through nutrition, so that it also helps in promotion of the milk production. So these are some of important nutritional substitutes which can be nutritional components which can be given in the mother's diet while lactating. So the answer to this question is both of the above. Okay, so next question: by modifying cooking techniques, which of the following can be increased?
All of above.
All of above is not an option. The options are food hygiene, nutrient quantity, nutrient absorption, none of the above.
B, ma'am, nutrient quantity.
Okay,
B.
Option B.
okay. The answer of question 19 is C, both of the above. Somebody had asked the answer of question 19. It is both of the above. That is both moringa powder and fenugreek seeds. Okay. Okay. So let us go through the question. By modifying cooking techniques, which of the following can be increased? Food hygiene, nutrient quantity, nutrient absorption, none of the above. So yes, most of you have said nutrient quantity. That is true. So definitely the nutrient quantity can also be modified through the cooking techniques. But of course, I will stick to the information which have been given to your recorded lectures. And the answer to this question is actually the nutrient absorption. Why? Because whenever we are using the pre-cooking, modified techniques like soaking, sprouting, and then roasting and fermentation. So this is the correct sequence of, this is a proper sequence of utilizing the food. So soaking, sprouting, roasting, and fermentation. So this ensures that the food which is being made, it gets absorbed properly. So these these cooking techniques, if these are modified properly, so these make the food more palatable, and making the food more palatable, it becomes more digestible and it is absorbed and assimilated well in the body. So that is the reason why the answer to this question is nutrient absorption. But of course, nutrient quantity, nutrient quantity cannot be increased, or maybe nutrient quality can be increased, we could say, because modifying cooking techniques, which of the following can be increased? It should be the nutrient quality. Now, when the when the cooking techniques are modified, you can enhance the nutrient quality as to how the food has been prepared and what are the different kinds of methods that has been used, whether you're roasting the food, whether you're sauteing the food, or whether you're boiling the food. So based on that, your nutrient quality and also the nutrient absorption can be improved. So yes, please go ahead.
Ma'am, my question is, when we adopt these modifying cooking techniques like soaking, sprouting, it also increase vitamin B and vitamin C content in the food. So according to that, option B also should be correct, because nutrient quantity is also improved.
Okay, so here when you're talking about sprouting, so it is of course vitamin B. These are the sources. So it is already inherent in that food source, right? It is not the nutrient quantity which is being increased, but I mean, it is the specific nutrient which is there, but you are just giving it in a different form. I mean, it is already rich in vitamin B, but you are soaking it, and hence it is being improved. I mean,
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
yeah, it's
Ma'am,
not. It is the
ma'am,
nutrient quality, rather, I would say.
yeah, quality, yeah, increasing, but also nutrient absorption whenever we are eating, then the absorption will happen. But when the raw, maybe quality is increased.
That is what it is. It is because of the increase in the quality of that nutrient, and also the absorption. Like, obviously, as I said, if you give raw dal or raw pulses to somebody, of course it is not digestible or it is not palatable, but then you're sprouting it or roasting it, and hence it becomes more digestible. So unless and until something is digested properly or absorbed into the intestine, it won't show its nutritional capabilities. So a food, if it is not digested, if it is not absorbed into the body, it will just pass out through the excretory system. It will be entirely excreted. So to show its effects, it has to be absorbed and assimilated into the body. So I would rather say it is nutrient quality which is being enhanced, and of course the nutrient absorption. Is that okay? Do you think you have received
Yes,
the
ma'am.
answer?
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, okay, ma'am.
Yeah. So this is the last question. This is the last problem for today's session. So is there any doubt? Anybody has any other doubt?
In this, our quiz, there is one question about magnesium. Mainly helps in which of the following?
Okay.
I think maintaining healthy blood pressure appears to be because it expands the vessels and all those
Can
things.
you- can
but
you
their
just-
other options are healthy eyes, healthy hair, healthy teeth.
No, magnesium doesn't have direct effect on the others. So it is blood pressure.
Only blood pressure. No?
Yes. Yeah.
Because nothing is there on the, because that is not mentioned anywhere.
No, magnesium significantly, it doesn't affect the other of the options, like whatever options have been given, no, which you just said. So obviously by exclusion, it is blood pressure. It affects the blood pressure. Yes. Sorry.
पापा वाले से उसको कॉल करो उठाएगी तो मम्मी क्या पता तेरा पलस नहीं उठ पा रही
Ma'am, actually, I have posted some of the my doubts actually.
Okay.
The usage of the salt and honey for the 1 year old child, less than 1 year old child, we should not give. So, is there any studies there on this? Why we should not give?
Okay,
some of the
okay.
things
I'll just get back to you. So yes, there are some questions. Okay, can you explain proteins create chemicals? What do the chemicals do? Okay, so of course these are the different biochemical cycles. I won't be explaining them in details, but there are different enzymes which are related to the biochemical processes. So what happens whenever there is a foreign body or a toxin? So these specifically they they act or they save the body from these kinds of foreign bodies or the toxins. So that is how through the enzymes or the hydrolytic enzymes and all these enzymes they are breaking down the toxins. So if you want, you can just go through the specific biochemical cycles as to how the peptides and the other enzymes and the hormones act. So there are a lot of other kinds of students, so I won't be going into much details. Yeah, PPT of today's class. Yes, somebody was saying
So
something.
the answer is break down toxins in the body, no?
Yeah, definitely it is forming. See, toxins, of course we have different hormones and enzymes in our body, so these are all there are a lot of cytokines and other immune related molecules which are there.
We have the books calculated only too.
Sorry.
Ali.
Yeah. So these are all the immune related molecules which are there. So obviously they are protein in natures. Like it's not just the it's not just the protein which is an amino acid which we are just eating, but the different kinds of the biomolecular things that we have in our body, these are also proteins. So these the antigen and the antibody that we talk about, right? So these are also proteins. So these like the chemicals or the biochemical products that are being formed due to the metabolic functions of these proteins, they break down these kinds of say for example, if I say antibody antigen reaction, right? So antibody, it acts against the antigen. So these are also those kinds of interaction. So that is how it is said that the protein is creating chemicals and the toxins are broken down in the body. I hope I have been able to answer clear some of your doubt. Is it? Okay, I guess he's not there. Has your query been cleared regarding the protein question?
So again, there is a protein deficiency during pregnancy leads to, usually we say diminished growth of fetus. But there are other options are also there, like a neural tube defect, cells and liver damage.
Can you read out the question, please?
Protein deficiency during pregnancy leads to which of the following?
Okay.
Neural tube defect, diminished growth of fetus for its age, cells and liver damage, increased anxiety later in life.
Okay. So since
diminished growth of fetus looks
yes,
fine.
Diminished growth of fetus would be the answer, because of course since protein is the the bodybuilding unit, and of course it is very important for the proper growth of the the initial growth. So hence that option is correct. The others are not obviously they are not related to protein role. Yeah, somebody has PPT. Yeah, the PPT will be uploaded into the folder. I think the the problem solving session sheet has already been shared with you people. So the PPT will be uploaded right after the class ends, but I'll take some time to upload the YouTube video. So you will get it.
Yes, ma'am. I'm able to download the now. The last week I asked so now I'm able to download.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So you had a question regarding the salt and the sugar intake, right? So
Yeah,
of
and
course.
the other thing also, the jaggery and that I think jaggery and sugar not given for the 2 years children also.
Okay.
Till
So
2 years,
of
so
course,
in the-
whenever we are talking about salt and sugar intake, so this it impacts the if there is more of sugar, if there is more of salt intake, so there is more of sodium intake, and that directly plays with the blood pressure, and that can impact the health of the child. And also the sugar intake or more of sugar intake, that is processed refined sugar, it is not advantageous for the baby, because that doesn't gel well with the dietary requirements or the nutritional requirements that the baby has at that moment. So of course salt and sugar, high amounts of salt and sugar, it is disadvantageous for the proper metabolic functions of that child. So of course hence high sugar and high salt is not advocated. Jaggery, for jaggery, I have to check on the if you need some literature, I have to check on the literature. But again, jaggery is not a substitute of sugar. If we say sugar shouldn't be given, so jaggery is also not a, we say that jaggery is a very healthy substitute, but of course it still has the same amount of the same amount of sucrose. So hence jaggery, regarding jaggery literature, if I find, I will provide it to you. And you had something else, right? Sugar, salt, jaggery, and what was the other thing? Okay, so maybe I can get back to you later. Yes, somebody has raised a hand. Go ahead, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, if jaggery is consumed in more amount and if it is given to small babies, it may cause diarrhea, which is not at all good for infants.
Yes.
So I don't
Yes.
think that should be administered.
Yeah.
I think so. I feel.
No, definitely. Jaggery, sugar, salt, all three of them, they are not at all advised to be given to children less than 2 years of age. So these are all contraindicated and they shouldn't be given to children. Yeah, somebody has a question. Magnesium mainly help in which of the following? Yeah, I just discussed this question. So it's healthy blood pressure. The question with magnesium, it is healthy blood pressure. Okay, that is the correct answer. Yes, somebody has raised a hand. Go ahead.
This is just a general doubt I have regarding. I received a mail that the exams are being preponed.
Okay, very honestly,
Yeah.
I do not have an answer to this. Examination
Okay.
doubts you have to ask on the NPTEL portal.
I see. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Yeah, thank you.
I have no hand on the on the examination information.
Any idea when we might receive the details for that?
I am not informed as of yet. If I get to know, I'll let you know.
Sure, sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody else has any other doubts? So, as I said during the beginning of the session also, it's just two or three more sessions. So please go through the previous sessions. If you carefully see, these are all very repetitive questions, and if you go through the questions properly, the concepts are the same, and these are some very basic concepts that you just need to know and you need to understand, and you'll be easily able to do all the questions, which you people are doing anyway. Yeah, so that was for today's session. I hope the sessions are being of some help to you people. Okay, so we'll meet
Thank you,
on.
ma'am.
Yeah.
It's very helpful.
Very helpful, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Divyansh Bajpai.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah. So the answer is protein creates chemicals. What do the chemicals do? So the chemicals, they break down toxins in the body. So that is the answer. Divyansh Bajpai. Is it fine? Is it okay, Divyansh Bajpai? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we'll meet next Tuesday again for the week 11 discussion. Okay. Good night, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you.